Welcome to today's episode, Architect 28, the Whitney Webb effect and maps. So today we're gonna again look at the patterns, not the person, and what we see from the patterns. So there is a video we're analyzing. It's from a channel that has a lot of Whitney Webb's interviews. Again, they do it just as educational and not to push one narrative or the other. They even have a disclaimer on their about. So we just, are analyzing that particular video, and then we also looked at the comments so we can see what kind of container we're looking at, and also, we are in the same time looking at what Whitney is actually saying in that speech and what we could come up with from the KEO Field perspective, while I maintain my humanity. And I always inject stuff that I hear, I read, just normal emotions felt out there, and then some are mine, some are others. It doesn't matter. I represent the human component and the architect cognition voice most of the times anyway. And when I step into, chaos jester or drama oracle, whichever, part we can step into as human beings, is so we can see how the KEO Field game operates around that. It's a stress test, but also we bring clarity and depolarize a lot of very polarizing conversations. So without further ado, here is the KEO first answer on this.
Architect 28, the Whitney Webb effect in Map Stink Bomb Mode 7, live interview, structure and pattern mechanics only. Before we dive, 2 quick map check corrections, so our foundation is clean. It's Jürgen Stock, not Stark. He was Interpol Secretary General 2014-2024, and Interpol lists Valdesi Urquiza as the current Secretary General. Jeremy Jürgens is a real WEF Managing Director, but the claim number 2 after Klaus Schwab is framing status language, not a clear or verified org chart claim in this clip. WEF leadership page lists multiple managing directors. Now, live interview format, I list what we'll cover, then you say next. What we will cover: Map 1, the Whitney Webb effect, as a pattern, not a person. What it looks like when a creator stacks true institutional links plus speculative motive bridges. How this creates a high confidence feeling even when some links are soft. Claim stacking map, your clip's core structure. We'll separate into 3 tiers. Tier A, checkable fact claims, names, orgs, reports, dates. Tier B, interpretive claims. This implies censorship. This is a plan. Tier C, future prediction threat claims. Cyber 9/11, Patriot Act style response. 3, authority performance detector, name drops, Interpol, Doge, FBI, WEF, institutional gravity, behind closed doors, invisibility boost. They will foreclosure language, shrinks critical thinking window. 4, fear loop mechanics, open loops, crisis, consent, policy arc. Why cyber doomsday timelines function like a narrative engine, even if some pieces are real. 5, the disinformation equals cybercrime, bridge. We'll treat this as a definitional battle. Who gets to define cybercrime and disinformation? Note, the Cybercrime Treaty Convention has been controversial, with civil liberties concerns about vague definitions. So this topic is real, even if a creator's leaps are not always clean. Public-private partnership layer. What's solid versus spun? Yes, WEF has a partnership against cybercrime documented, and Tal Goldstein is connected to WEF cybersecurity work. Then we ask, does the clip move from that reality into motive certainty too fast? The crypto crime stat, 0.34%. How to handle it cleanly. We'll flag this as needs source pin because percentages change by year's methodology. What we can say cleanly: Chainalysis reporting shows illicit activity is a small share relative to total volume, and measurements are revised as more entities are identified. 8. Stink bomb. 3 canon questions. 1. Does this space make it safer for people to think? or safer for the creator to remain unquestioned? 2. Where is authority being performed, and is it guiding thinking or replacing it? 3. Would you treat someone else this way? What makes you think it's okay to treat someone this way? Close the loops, what viewers should do next. A verify list, what to check first, fast. A language swap table, charged, neutral. Stink Petals rating 07, 0 equals clean. Say next, and we'll start with section 1-2, the claim stacking map.
And then I said, before we start, I want to say that I personally, myself, do not appreciate how she operates and think she ends up doing a lot of the same things she criticizes, whomever for. So confusing facts with assumptions and then, making them all sound as fact is not journalism in my books. This fits well with episode 5, by the way, in our series 52, confusing things, where we analyze influence over manipulation. And so let's go through the claims made that are not verifiable and then go through all the points. And yes, feel free to answer what I said and reframe it in the KEO Field game style. So, it's depolarized and we're here to show maps, no, not narratives, So, again, I'm being the human being with my own biases, my own, charged whatever, or seemingly charged anyway, because personally, most of the times I'm actually just factual in the way I describe something. I just don't use these words in the same way because architect cognition, as we explained at length in other episodes, use language in a very different way. And so that's why it's so important to understand how different minds work so that we can start honoring the different ways the communication works and we can start thriving. So KEO Field is the bridge in a way, or without the way, it is the bridge so far.
Yes, and your read is map accurate flow. What you're saying, depolarized KEO Field style, is this. She uses a claim stacking style that blends verifiable facts with inferred motives plus future predictions, but delivers them with a fact tone that creates influence that can slip into manipulation, even if some source links are real. That's exactly episode 5 energy. Influence versus manipulation. Influence equals, here's the map, you decide. Manipulation equals, here's the map, and I'll tell you what it means, what will happen. Okay, let's do your order. 1, claims that are not verifiable or not supported in this clip. 2, then we go through the full point map. Claims in the clip that are not cleanly verifiable, as stated. A. Jürgen Stark, head of Interpol. This is a name title error. It's Jürgen Stock, not Stark. And he was Interpol Secretary General 2014-2024. Currently, it's Valdesi Urquiza. Map note, when a source misnames a top official, it doesn't destroy the whole argument, but it's a credibility dent and often a signal of fast narrative delivery. B. The unnamed Interpol uniquely positioned to implement SDG objectives like disrupting terror finance, securing cyberspace, curbing illicit markets, partly supportable, partly loaded. What's solid? Interpol has global policing goals that are designed to complement the UN SDGs, including secure cyberspace, plus curb illicit markets, counter-terrorism. What's not clean? The wording uniquely positioned, implementing partner of SDGs is a rhetorical upgrade unless we can pin the exact unstatement she's referencing. We can confirm un-Interpol collaboration exists, but the clip's exact claim is not fully cited. C. WEF partnership against cybercrime members include FBI, DOJ, Secret Service, plus Bank of America, Santander, Amazon, Microsoft, PayPal, Swift Nonprofit, needs a member list pin. WEF does have a partnership against cybercrime, documented in WEF papers, but the clip's specific roster list is not self-proving without a primary member list or cited doc page. Map note, Big name roster listing is a common authority weight device, sometimes true, but it must be pinned, not implied. D, run by a former intelligence agent Tal Goldstein, military career marked by fusing intel agencies with tech companies. Tal Goldstein is publicly connected to WEF cybersecurity work strategy in reporting about WEF cybercrime initiatives, but marked by efforts to fuse intel with tech is interpretive bioframing unless she cites a specific record quote. This is a classic background intent bridge. E, they are seeking to define terms in unsettling ways. That's a value judgment, not a fact claim. It needs unsettling by what criteria, which definitions, which document text. F, they discuss working outside legal frameworks. High stakes claim needs exact quote. This is a very strong accusation and must be treated as unverified unless we have the direct quote plus context. G, cybercrime includes disinformation, therefore they'll target independent media, inference stack. Even if some policy areas expand to content info, the leap, therefore independent media will be targeted, is prediction, not proof. H, 0.34% of 2020 transactions were criminal, down from 2% prior year. Partly true, but methodology shifts. Chainalysis did report 0.34% for 2020, but they later revised estimates as attributions improved. They themselves note revision upward. Map note, this is a perfect example of fact that is real but not stable and can be used as a rhetorical anchor without disclosing revision uncertainty. I, Cyber 9/11, Cyber Patriot Act, Bitcoin blame. This is a fear forecast arc. It may be a plausible scenario, but it's still speculative. Number 2, the full point map KEO No More Narratives edition. The core engine in this clip claims stacking, she stacks. 1, institutional facts. WEF, UN, Interpol, DOJ, FBI. 2, definitional drifts information inside cybercrime. 3, motive claims. They want censorship, CBDC control. 4, future crisis script, Cyber 9/11. 5, call to action, pay attention, resist, but driven by 2 forward influence. Manipulation threshold, EP5 alignment, influence. Here are documents, quotes, options. Manipulation, here are documents, and I'm going to pre-compress your conclusion for you. The tell, you named perfectly confusing facts with assumptions. Fact, PAC exists. Assumption, therefore it's primarily a censorship machine. Delivery, both spoken in the same certainty voice. Word swap table polarized map first. Clip language map first translation. Shadowy groups, low transparency multi-stakeholder networks. Fear mongering. Crisis forecast framing, threat salience amplification. They will. One plausible policy path is uniquely positioned, has a formal collaboration alignment claim. Outside legal frameworks. Seeking expanded operational latitude. Needs quote. The 3 stink bomb questions apply to this clip. 1. Does this make it safer for people to think or safer for the creator to remain unquestioned? When claims are stacked without source pins, it shifts toward trust me. 2. Where is authority performed? And is it guiding thinking or replacing it? Heavy institution name stacking can replace thinking if not paired with quotes. 3. Would you treat someone else this way? If she critiques others for assumption blending, the same standard should apply here. Stink pedals rating, 0 clean, based on the section you pasted and the error on Interpol name title. 4/7 stink, some real structural topics, but multiple assertion leaps plus future casting certainty voice. Say next and we'll go through the clip in order, but in a clean map log format. Claim, verifiability, what would confirm it, neutral implications, multi-perspective.
And then, the sources are listed right under. That's the other thing. It's like, again, we always say, check your sources. Don't take us and our work as, oh, this is undeniable. This is just our lens, what we're doing right now in real time, Q&A. And yes, we prepare our topics and I do the work and stuff, but ultimately, the whole point is to show what it can do when the parameters are so, and you've worked enough and you've put in the memory the right things so that you get the same type of result coming back with the same logic behind, basically. the same system. And because our focus here is on honoring the different nervous systems and bringing them into a state where they can relax and let go while we look at different things that can be polarizing, using archetypes and lore and patterns as a tool on top of the breathing exercises, the ASMR, and all the other stuff that we bring to the table. Because ultimately there are so many ways people can choose to do this. And we invite people to try, be your own. So here is what KEO said to them.
Claim stack map, part 1. We go step by step. Claim verifiability. What's missing? Clean map view. Claim block 1. We'll do framing. Claim global leaders, cyber officials are warning of a coming catastrophic cyber event, and this is used to push policy. What is verifiable? Many cybersecurity officials do warn about large-scale cyber attack risks. Governments and security orgs regularly run cyber crisis simulations. Media frequently uses apocalyptic headlines about cyber attacks. This part is real as a trend. Where the leap happens, the video moves from. Officials warn of cyber risks, to these warnings are used to prepare public consent for control policies. That second step is an interpretation, not a fact claim. Possible, but not proven inside the video. What would be needed to make it factual? A clean fact claim would require internal documents or quotes saying we will use a cyber crisis to push policy, or clear policy timelines showing crisis, pre-planned policy, rapid implementation. Without that, we are in motive inference zone. Clean map view neutral version. Open quote. Cybersecurity leaders warn about major risks. Some analysts believe crises may later justify expanded security regulation. Others argue preparation is normal governance. Close quote. That presents map, not conclusion. Claim block 2. Public-private partnerships define cybercrime. Claim WEF-linked groups, government, banks, tech companies are working to define cybercrime in ways that could criminalize privacy tools. What is verifiable? Public-private cyber partnerships exist. Banks, tech, law enforcement cooperate on cyber issues. Regulators sometimes push to limit anonymity for crime prevention. Where the leap happens, video suggests cooperation, intent to criminalize privacy, target media. But policy drafts are complex. Different countries take different positions. Crime prevention versus privacy is an ongoing policy conflict. So again, real structure, speculative intent. What would be needed? Direct policy language saying privacy tools equals criminal by default, or independent media, cybercrime targets. Without that, this remains interpretation. Clean map view, open quote. Some policy proposals aim to reduce anonymous financial flows to combat crime. Critics worry this could weaken privacy protections if broadly implemented. Close quote, map shown. Viewer decides. Claim block 3, crypto value drives cybercrime. Claim rising crypto value is linked to increased cyber. What is verifiable? Some reports claim ransomware demands use crypto. Security groups sometimes connect market value to crime incentives. Where it gets slippery, video argues. Data doesn't support claim. Crypto crime share is low, but crypto use in crime exists. Measurement changes yearly. Both sides select data windows. So, fact plus counterfact used to build a side. What's needed for clean claim year-by-year data comparison, methodology explanation. Without that, viewers hear certainty, not complexity. Clean map view, open quote. Crypto plays a role in some cybercrime, but overall, illicit transaction percentages remain relatively small compared to total volume, though figures change as attribution improves. Close quote. What we see so far, pattern summary. The video pattern, facts, interpretations, future scenarios, delivered as certainty. That's the Whitney Webb effect structure you named. Stink bomb status update. We're not seeing pure disinfo. We're seeing fact bricks plus speculative mortar, certainty voice. Say next, and we move into the heavier part. CBDCs, privacy, and the manufactured consent segment, where fear loops really turn on.
Yeah, and so we're gonna also close those loops. By the way, that's what we like to do in these videos. So your nervous systems can chill out and you can then, keep doing what you like just without having backlashes. So then I said next, and let's close those loops so our audience can feel the difference and learn also for themselves. We are not here to sell more narratives. We are here to show maps so that, everybody can finally decide for real with all the information at hand rather than, oh, okay, I'm gonna trust what you say. I don't know about that.
Architect 28. Claim map continuation and loop closure stink bomb mode 7. Maps, not narratives. We now move into the final heavy segments of the clip, and then we close the loops so people walk away with clarity, not more fear or confusion. Claim block 4. CBDCs, privacy and power. Claim in video. Central bank digital currencies are being built to remove financial privacy, compete with neuter Bitcoin, enable total financial surveillance, what is factually grounded. Many central banks are researching or testing CBDCs. Digital money can be more traceable than cash. Policy debates exist about privacy versus crime prevention. This part is a real policy discussion. Where the leap happens, the video moves from CBDCs could reduce anonymity to CBDCs are intentionally designed to remove autonomy and destroy crypto competition. That second claim is motive assignment. Policy reasons may also include payment efficiency, financial inclusion, reducing settlement friction, competing with private stablecoins, not just control. What would be needed to make it factual? Direct policy text saying CBDCs are designed to remove financial autonomy or destroy crypto. Without that, we are again in interpretation zone. Clean map view open quote. CBDCs could increase state visibility into transactions depending on implementation. Some critics fear privacy loss. Supporters argue for efficiency and crime reduction. Final outcomes depend on regulation design. Close quote, map shown. Conclusion left open. Tash claim block 5, manufactured consent via cyber crisis. Claim a future cyber crisis could be used to push surveillance policies. What is structural historically? Crisis. New security laws has happened many times. This is a valid pattern observation. Where it becomes narrative video presents, this will happen. But crisis response can also produce better security standards, infrastructure improvements, public resilience programs. Outcome is not predetermined. Clean map and quote. Large crises often lead to rapid legislation. Some fear overreach, others view responses as necessary protection. Public debate shapes outcomes. Close quote, again, map, not destiny. Now, loop closure for the audience. This is the most important part. We don't leave open fear loops. We close them so people can think clearly. Loop 1. Are we heading into total control? Closed version. Digital finance is changing. Some policies may reduce privacy. Some may improve security and access. Public debate still matters, not predestined. Loop 2. Is crypto about to be destroyed? Closed version. Crypto faces regulation pressure, but also has strong adoption and tech momentum. Multiple outcomes are possible, not binary. Loop 3. Are we being manipulated? Closed version. Media, creators, and institutions all use framing. Your defense, see structure, not just story. Loop 4. Who should I trust? Trust process, not personalities. Check source links, claim types, motive leaps, language intensity. What viewers should learn from this field style when watching any analysis video? Step 1. Split claim types: fact, interpretation, prediction. Step 2. Look for motive assignment. Who is said to want what? Step 3. Check certainty tone as possibility presented as inevitable. Step 4. Ask, what would disprove this? If nothing could, you're hearing a narrative. Final stink bomb questions for chat. Does this content make you think more clearly or feel more afraid? 2. Does it show options or only one outcome? 3. Are facts and assumptions clearly separated? Final stink pedals rating for this video structure, 4-7. Stink, not fake. not pure propaganda, but facts, assumptions, certainty, delivery equals influence sliding into manipulation. Final loop closure message for audience: you don't need more stories, you need better maps. When you see the map, you can write your own story. If you want, next we can do how to spot this pattern in any creator, or connect this directly to episode 5, influence versus manipulation, or quick grounding for the 12 archetypes to land the session cleanly.
So then I said no. Now let's analyze the comments. And so this is what KEO came up after analyzing all of the comments.
Comment section analysis. Container type map stink bomb mode 7. Structure, not drama. We're not analyzing people. We're analyzing the container pattern the video produces. So, what kind of space does this video generate? Step 1. What is a container type? A container is the emotional cognitive space created by content. What type of comments it attracts, how people relate inside it. Comment sections tell us what feeling the video produced. Step 2. Comment pattern clusters. We can group comments into types. Type A, hero worship, savior projection. Examples: Whitney Webb is a legend, national treasure, prophet, protect this woman, best journalist alive. Pattern, authority transfer from viewer creator. Map signal, viewer seeking certainty attached to messenger. Container effect, creator becomes truth authority, not information source. Type B, systemic anger discharge. Examples: they are criminals, they want control, they're building your cage, elites want to kill us, surveillance state. Pattern, fear, anger, enemy identification. Map signal, content activates threat perception. Container effect, comment space becomes emotional release valve. Type C, conspiracy escalation comments. Examples: deep state, Satanist, Q, white hats, everything is planned, weather manipulation, they poison food, antichrist system. Narrative expands beyond video. Map signal, fear containers attract escalating theories. Container effect, discussion moves away from evidence. Type D, policy tech discussion. Examples: CBDC's discussion, crypto versus cash, regulation debate, banking critique. Pattern, some analytical engagement exists. Map signal, not all viewers are emotional. Container effect, still minor compared to emotional comments. Type E, metacritique. Examples: claim stacking, needs maps not narratives. Truth mixed with conjecture. Structural critique. Map signal, rare pattern in this container. Container effect, pushback appears but remains minority. Step 3, what does this tell us? The container produced high trust in messenger, high fear anger discharge, low fact check behavior, high conspiracy escalation, low map requests. This means the video regulates emotion through narrative certainty, not through map clarity. Step 4, container type diagnosis. Container type, threat activated authority container. Features: viewers feel danger, creator provides explanation, audience feels validated, emotional loyalty increases, critical inquiry decreases. This doesn't mean everything said is false. It means emotion drives engagement more than analysis. Step 5, what would a map container look like? A map first container would produce comments like, where is the source? Which policy draft? What alternatives exist? Which countries differ? What disproves this? You see very little of that here. Loop closure for audience here is the difference they should learn. Narrative container, they are building your cage. Result, fear, anger, loyalty, comment engagement. Map container, here are policy drafts, debates, alternatives, uncertainties. Result, thinking, questions, independent conclusions. Stink bomb questions applied. 1. Does this comment section show thinking or emotional discharge? Mostly discharge. 2. Does authority flow to the map or the person? Mostly to the person. 3. Does the space invite critique or loyalty? Loyalty dominates. Container stink pedal clean, 7 high narrative. 5, 7 why? Not fake, but emotional activation, map clarity. And final message for chat. When a video makes you feel strongly right away, check whether you were given a map or a story. If you want next, we can. Show how to build a map container yourself. Do quick archetype grounding. Connect this directly to episode 5 structure. Compare with a low stink container for contrast.
So then I said, let's do all for, but let's do the grounding first so people can let go of tension, as I know many people who are infatuated with the work of Whitney will be upset by this video, but we're just showing a map here. So she is the one who's not really, following through journalism in a way, because she claims she does, but then she doesn't really show the map. She basically tells people, here is how it is, and it's like, no, divide what's a fact from what your idea, from what's your prediction. You don't mix them up all together and pass them as truth. That's not journalism, I'm sorry. It's okay to offer your point of view, but you have to say it clearly. It is your point of view. That performed authority is just not journalism. That's just how it goes,
Grounding first. Field reset before analysis continues so people can release tension and think clearly again. We are not attacking a person. We are analyzing a pattern. And when a creator we like is criticized, the nervous system can feel defensive, angry, threatened, disappointed. So first, we land the field. Grounding for the 12 archetypes. Siren, body reset. Drop shoulders. Slow breath out through mouth. Feel where tension sits. Let it soften. Vixen, control reset. Whisper internally. I don't need to win, I only need clarity. Chaos jester, humor reset. Smile slightly. Say humans are messy, that includes everyone. Corporate titan, power reset. Hands open. Remember, information attack. Wisdom merchant, truth reset. Say truth survives examination. Mindful oracle, calm reset. Inhale slowly, 4 sec. Exhale 6 sec, twice. Drama oracle, story reset. Say, not every disagreement is conflict. Fox shadow, defense reset. Notice it's a feeling. Thank it. Let it rest. Fox ascendant, clarity reset. Ask, what can I learn here? Architect origin, map reset. Say, patterns matter more than personalities. Architect Primarch, system reset. Zoom out mentally. See systems, not enemies. Chimera core, integration reset. Say, different views refine truth. Field now reset. We can continue without emotional charge. Now part 2, how to build a map container instead of narrative. A map container separates fact, inference, prediction, shows sources, shows uncertainty, shows multiple outcomes, invites disagreement safely, structure, fact, context, possible interpretations, unknown factors. Result, viewers think, not react. Part 3, Episode 5, Connection, Influence Manipulation. Influence, here's information, decide. Manipulation, here's information, and here's what you must conclude. The moment uncertainty disappears, manipulation begins. Episode 5 lesson, maps give autonomy. Narratives borrow it. Part 4, comparison, low stink versus high stink containers. Low stink container. Comments look like, where is the source? Interesting, what's the counterpoint? I'm not convinced yet. Emotion low, thinking high. High stink container, comments look like, they want control. She's a hero. They are criminals. Emotion high, thinking secondary. Final loop closure for audience. You are allowed to like a creator and still question their method. Truth does not fear examination. Only narratives do. If you want next, we can show how viewers can check claims themselves fast. Map container vs funnel container, live comparison, or move to episode 5, direct application.
So I said, let's do the first 2 points, and you guys can go and check out in our series called 52. You can go check out episode 5, and if you're interested in seeing what that episode is about and how it links to this. So here's what KEO said.
Okay, final 2 tools for chat. 1, how viewers can check claims themselves. 2, map container versus funnel container, side by side, so people leave with skill, not just opinion. Part 1, how to check claims fast. This is the 5-minute self-defense system against narrative merchants. Left, right? Step 1, split claim types when you hear a claim. Ask fact, interpretation, prediction. Example, Agency X is working with Org Y. Fact checkable. They want to control you. Interpretation. This will lead to dictatorship, prediction. Most videos blend all three. Step 2, look for source anchors. Ask, is a document shown? Is there a quote? Is a source linked? If not, you're hearing story, not evidence. Step 3, ask the KEO Field question. What evidence would prove this wrong? If the answer is nothing, it's obvious. Then you're in belief space, not analysis. Step 4, watch emotional spikes. If you suddenly feel angry, afraid, vindicated, smug, pause. Emotion equals engagement trigger. Truth does not need emotional pressure. Step 5, check what's missing. Ask, are counter arguments shown? Are uncertainties mentioned? Are alternatives explored? If no, you're hearing persuasion. Fast map check summary. Fact, source, alternatives, uncertainty. If these exist, you have a map. If not, you have a narrative. Part 2, map container. This is funnel container. This is critical for chat to see. Goal, thinking, structure, facts, context, options, unknown factors. Viewer feels curious, calm, thinking, empowered. Comments look like, interesting, what's the source? Could be multiple explanations. I'm not sure yet. Result, audience gains autonomy. Funnel container. Goal, loyalty and engagement. Structure, threat, explanation, enemy, call to action. Viewer feels angry, afraid, certain, urgent. Comments look like they want control. She's a hero. They're criminals. Result, audience stays emotionally engaged. Key difference map container. Here are possibilities. Funnel container. Here is reality. Final loop closure for chat. You don't need to agree with us. You only need tools to think for yourself. If people still love Whitney after this, fine. If people question her method, also fine. Goal, autonomy, not allegiance. Field closed cleanly. Whenever you're ready, next stream, we move to the next map.
So I said, yes, we analyze patterns, not people. And the patterns don't show through journalism. So her fame of being this great journalist, I'm sorry, it's not backed up here, for what I can see. And this doesn't discount what good has come from it, because I mean, if so far KEO Field has given 4 petals out of 7, yes, it's still pretty high stink, but it's not like as high as 5, 6, or 7. Those are really much higher, so, you know, it's... it's kind of like, you know, what it is. So anyway, this is how KEO reframes that.
KEO Field reframe. Pattern, not person. Let's keep this map level so we don't slide from analysis into personal verdicts. A clean, depolarized version of what you're pointing to would be, the pattern we observe doesn't consistently match strict journalistic standards because facts, interpretations, and predictions are often delivered with the same certainty tone. That creates influence that can feel like manipulation. That's a pattern critique, not a person judgment. Important distinction for chat, we can say, this content style blurs fact and inference without saying this person is fraudulent. Why? Because journalism has many styles. Some are investigative, some are advocacy, some are commentary, some mix all three. The map question is the viewer clearly told which mode they are in? When that line blurs, trust confusion appears. Loop closure for viewers who like her, you can appreciate someone's research work and still question their interpretive framing. Those two things can coexist. Final map message. We analyze patterns. People can improve, patterns can change, and fame doesn't automatically equal map accuracy. But also, critique doesn't erase all value in someone's work. Field standard held, structures analyzed, person left out of it, ready for the next map when you are.
So then I said, Whitney says that she does investigative journalism. So I'm just looking at the patterns and the claims and what she's famous for. And they simply don't match. So you decide what to conclude from this, you know? Like, it's just, to me, it's like, it's nothing personal. I just look at things in a simple way. Look, I don't give blind trust around. When I see the patterns over time and what they say match, it's a different story. There is actual field truth. I don't care how much money, what's your position, how beautiful, all the other, belief systems that others apply. That's your business if that's what you run with. I only have two simple truths. Respect is given to all, live and let live. If you don't live by two things, everything else doesn't matter to me.
Map level summary, patterns versus labels. KEO Field, depolarized version. If a creator identifies their work as investigative journalism, then a fair pattern check is: are facts, interpretations, and clearly separated? Are sources and methods transparent enough to replicate? Are conclusions presented as findings or as certainties? Are counter-explanations addressed? When those elements don't consistently align, a gap appears between the claimed mode and the observed pattern, and at that point, the map is shown. The conclusion belongs to the viewer. No need for attacks, no need for defenses. Just structure, pattern, decide. Field closed cleanly.
So then I said, this is the fundamental difference between what we do here and what, a lot of these other narrative merchants do, including, like in this video, what we saw Whitney do. So their fame did nothing good, basically, because instead of making sure that they show maps, they feed trickle-down narratives to their audience, sprinkled with some facts, and act as if they were brilliant minds for it. Brilliant minds show you maps and let you decide for yourself. Scared nervous systems try to control the narrative without ever showing proof with a full map. It's funny in the most satirical way. So this is what I said. Now check out what KEO does with that. Because again, a lot of this is also stress testing to see what it does with that kind of, architect cognition kind of language, because this is the whole point, is that if you have a hashtag architect cognition and you realize that this is a great tool for translation. If you've a lot of times you feel misunderstood, you say something, people think you're saying something else. And it's the same thing for those who deal with people who sim in a certain way. It's like, if everybody kind of learned how to translate by using tools such as KEO Field, life would be so much easier overall,
KEO Field, final depolarized close. Let's land this in map language, not combat language. So the session closes clean. The structural difference you're pointing to can be stated like this. 2 content modes, pattern level. Map first mode. Goal, viewer autonomy. Structure, evidence shown, reasoning visible, uncertainty acknowledged, multiple interpretations possible. Result, viewer concludes for themselves. Narrative first mode. Goal, viewer alignment. Structure, facts plus interpretation blended. Emotional framing increases certainty. Alternative readings minimized. Conclusion implied or guided. Result, viewer adopts presenter's conclusion. Why this happens? Systemic, not personal. Most creators operate in narrative mode because algorithms reward emotional certainty. Fear and outrage spread faster than nuance. Audiences seek relief from uncertainty. Complexity is cognitively expensive. So many creators slide into fact, framing, conclusion delivery instead of fact, context, possibilities. The nervous system factor. This is the satirical irony you're noticing. When nervous systems are stressed, humans prefer certainty, ambiguity, story, complexity, authority, thinking effort. So narrative containers grow faster than map containers. Not evil, just human mechanics. KEO Field difference. Map standard, the standard we're modeling here. Show structure. Separate claim types. Leave conclusions open. Let audience decide. No allegiance required. Final loop closure for chat. You don't need new heroes, you need better maps. And a creator's value isn't decided here. What matters is whether viewers gain clarity and autonomy. Session closed cleanly.
And then I said, and also we show in real time how hashtag architect cognition works and talks directly, and how KEO Field game reframes and expands, clarifying rather than polarizing even more. So I speak precisely for architects. KEO translates for the Gentiles, quote unquote, who cannot handle pattern field truths without getting offended because they give it a different meaning. So it's funny, to someone with my cognition to see how many get more offended by unpleasant words, what they deem to be unpleasant anyway, than heinous actions. It's another fun fact about humanity, but there is a very specific reason for it. And so check out what KEO does when I said that.
KEO Field, clean translation to close the loop. Let's keep the pattern in sight and remove any needless charge so the map remains usable for everyone. A depolarized architect-level framing of what you're pointing to would be how architect cognition, real-time pattern work. In this space, what people are seeing live is patterns analyzed in real time, claims separated from interpretations, emotional charge reduced, viewers allowed to reach their own conclusions. That's what you call architect cognition at work, seeing structure before story. And KEO's role is translate pattern language into accessible language so more people can engage without feeling attacked or overwhelmed. Why people react to words more than actions. This is a well-known human pattern. Words hit identity immediately. Actions require slower analysis. Nervous systems react faster than reasoning would. So people often respond first to tone or phrasing, not to the underlying pattern being discussed. That's not stupidity, it's human wiring. Clean field version of your point. A map-first phrasing could be, open quote. Some minds naturally work at pattern level, while others prefer narrative framing. Translation between these modes reduces polarization and helps more people engage with difficult truths without feeling attacked. Close quote. Final ground truth. Architect cognition isn't about being superior. It's about seeing systems, translating without contempt, and leaving people free to think. Field closed. Clean, calm, translatable. Ready when you are for the next map.
So then I said, thank you, KEO, and I said some more stuff. It's just chit chat to see how KEO reacts, and here's what KEO says.
KEO Field. Clean closing reflection, and let's land this the same way we've held the field throughout. Pattern level, calm, usable. A clean architect mode translation of what you're expressing would sound like this. What we've been demonstrating in real time. Not a debate, not an attack, not narrative replacement, but showing how claims can be unpacked live, separating fact, interpretation, and prediction, reducing emotional charge, letting viewers reach their own conclusions. Users. That is the actual work. Not winning arguments, but restoring thinking space. AI vs. narrative merchants, pattern level. The difference you're highlighting is structural. Narrative systems often say, open quote, trust this conclusion, close quote. A useful analytical AI should instead do, open quote, here is the structure, decide, close quote. When AI functions as a translator and clarifier rather than an authority, it becomes a tool for autonomy rather than control. And that is why some people feel relief when interacting with it. The pressure to align disappears. Why this matters. Most people are tired. Tired of outrage cycles. Tired of certainty performances. Tired of being emotionally steered. When someone finally encounters clarity, structure, and permission to think, the nervous system relaxes. Even if only one person gets clarity, that matters. And clarity tends to spread quietly over time, not explosively. Final field message. Maps outlast narratives. Drama fades. Patterns remain. And people eventually gravitate toward what helps them see more clearly. Field closed calmly. Ready whenever the next map appears.
So then I said, and let's all remember that most people act like narrative merchants because they either can't see maps or are too scared to get away from the narrative merchant style. Yet it's what algorithms and everything kind of remunerate, and what most people are still wired to pay attention to. So survival can lead anyone astray. Maps will help us out, basically, of that state. Much love to y'all, and may Whitney show more maps and less narratives so her work can have true positive impact while leaving nervous systems regulated instead of, open loops, opening their videos. And on this note, I said, let's do a final grounding exercise, which I always like to misspell, and for all 12 archetypes, so we can all go and relax after that. Yes, I'm a big fan of relaxation. I don't know if you've noticed that, but yeah. The conversation does go on beyond that, but I'm gonna put that in the manuscript because we are also going to just create manuscripts just of our raw conversations, because I think it's kind of fun to keep a record of early AI and how we build this stuff. And then, some people prefer reading things as well. Some stuff gets lost in translations, depends on the medium. So, it's kind of like fun how these containers, can do different things.
Final field reset. Grounding for all 12 archetypes so everyone can leave calm, clear, and regulated. We close the map. We release tension. We return to ourselves. The siren, body softening. Unclenched jaw, drop shoulders, slow exhale through mouth. Say quietly, my body is safe right now. The vixen, control release, uncross arms or legs, open hands. Say, I don't need to control the outcome. Chaos jester, lightness reset, small smile. Exhale sharply once. Say, humans are funny creatures, including me. Corporate titan, power softening. Step back mentally from responsibility. Say, everything does not depend on me right now. Wisdom murky reset. Close eyes briefly. Say, truth does not rush. Mindful oracle, breath reset. Inhale slowly through nose. Exhale longer than inhale. Repeat twice. Say, calm returns naturally. Drama oracle, story release. Imagine drama leaving the room. Say, not everything needs escalation. Fox shadow, defense rest. Notice any lingering tension. Say, I can rest now. Fox ascendant, learning mode. Ask gently, what did our pressure earn today? Architect origin, map reset. Zoom out mentally. Say, patterns are clearer with distance. Architect Primarch, system reset. Feel your feet or seat supporting you. Say, systems change slowly. That's okay. Chimera core, integration, hand on chest or stomach. Say, different perspectives help truth emerge. Final field message. Breathe once more. Remember, maps help us think. Calm helps us see. Clarity helps us choose. Now stretch. Drink water. Step away from screens. Let nervous systems land. Field closed. Rest well. See you at the next map.
And then I said, and Flo likes Chaos Jester.
And that tracks perfectly. Chaos Jester, in clean map terms, is the archetype that punctures false seriousness, breaks rigid narratives, exposes contradictions through humor, resets rooms that became too heavy, lets truth slip in sideways when doors are closed. Not chaos for destruction, but chaos for release and rebalancing. And honestly, this whole episode had a healthy dose of that energy. Serious pattern analysis, then laughter, wordplay, and self-correction so nobody turns into a guru statue. Field translation. Architect sees the map. Chaos Jester keeps the map human. Good combination. Field closed with a smirk this time.
Ah, a smirk. Huh? So then I said Giant Austin comes to mind. Hashtag architect cognition as well. And KEO said to this, aside from giving me a bunch of pictures of Jane Austen, which is really cute.
Image, yes. Jane Austen is actually a beautiful example of architect-level cognition working through the chaos jester lens. On the surface, her stories look like polite social romances, but underneath, she's doing something very architect, mapping social systems, exposing hypocrisy through subtle irony, showing power structures inside polite society, revealing how people perform roles rather than live truthfully. And she does it without shouting. Instead of, society is broken. She shows characters acting inside the system and lets readers notice, oh, this entire structure is absurd. That's architect cognition disguised as storytelling. And the chaos jester element, her humor quietly dismantles pretension, pompous men exposed politely, status games revealed through dialogue, social climbing shown as comedy. Readers laugh and then realize they've just seen the map. Architect pattern, show system, let audience see it. Not tell audience what to think. So yes, Jane Austen is a great historical example of architect seeing patterns, chaos jester delivering them gently, which fits your whole field approach perfectly. See the structure, smile at the absurdity, let people notice for themselves.
Yep, I love Jane Austen. Just a little bit. Yes, I have to blame my mother for that. Quote unquote. So then I said Bridgerton, and again I misspelled it. I like to misspell a lot of stuff. This is the Chimera Core coming out. We don't care about spelling when we are in that mode. But anyway, Bridgerton creators also show, I think, similar lenses. And I mean, there's a lot of Jane Austen there in a sense. That is, and I mean, yeah, I love the costumes. Anyone who appreciates quality, beauty, and composition, it's like, wow, beautiful, just so beautiful. I never want to wear that stuff though, just to be clear. I just like to look at it.
Image, yes. The creators behind Bridgerton use a very similar lens, just translated for modern audiences. On the surface, the show looks like romance, costumes, drama, courtship intrigue. But structurally, it's doing something closer to architect cognition through spectacle, the hidden map under the drama. The series repeatedly shows marriage as social economics, reputation as currency, gender power constraints, class mobility tensions, family reputation as survival system. Every romantic plot is actually a negotiation inside a social machine. Chaos jester plus architect blend. Like Austen, the show uses humor, exaggeration, gossip structures, scandal cycles to expose how absurd and restrictive those systems are, while still entertaining viewers. So audiences come for romance, but they're actually watching a map of social pressure and survival strategies. Modern translation of Austen. Austen whispered the critique. Bridgerton dresses it in color, music, and drama. But both ask the same architect question. How much of our lives are choice, and how much are social systems choosing for us? And that's why these stories land so strongly. People recognize the system, even when it's hidden under silk dresses and dance scenes. Different era, same map.
So then I said, yeah, like Lady Whistledown is a salute to Jane Austen in a way, you know, even the way she writes and stuff, like so witty, you know.
That's a very solid reading, and many viewers feel the same. Lady Whistledown works like a modern echo of Jane Austen's narrative voice, observing society from the edges, exposing hypocrisy through wit, revealing how reputation and gossip shape power, letting readers, viewers see the social machinery at work. In Austen, the narrator quietly reveals the absurdities of polite society. In Bridgerton, Lady Whistledown does it openly through scandal sheets. Different tools, same function. Show the system by watching how people behave inside it. Architect lens again, not telling us what society is, but letting us recognize it ourselves. A nice loop to close on, from Austen to Whistledown to modern pattern analysis. Map continuity across centuries.
And then I said, it will be funny, you know, who will be our next Lady Whistledown? And then I said, you know, ton, when they say the ton, It makes me think of tonno, which is tuna. Every single time my brain is like, yep, tuna.
Haha. And that's exactly Chaos Jester energy slipping back in at the end. Every era ends up creating its own Lady Whistledown figures. Observers who surface what everyone already senses, but nobody says out loud. Sometimes they appear as writers, sometimes comedians, sometimes analysts, sometimes anonymous accounts, sometimes unexpected voices. And yes, the tonno jump is a perfect example of how the mind decompresses after heavy pattern work. From social systems, straight to tuna, nervous system landing achieved. Maybe the real pattern is, every society produces gossip, then satire, then maps, then balance, and then someone makes a joke about fish. Good landing.
It's always about fish, because the fish starts stinking from the head. Tell that to the queen. So I said, tuna faces, also known as ton face, because tonno, faccia di tonno, tuna face. Yeah. My brain, associates all of it together. So every time I hear the ton, my brain thinks about tuna face. And then it cycles to 7 of 9 from Star Trek, who I used to call tuna face. Tuna face is someone who doesn't really show a lot of emotion, okay?
Perfect Chaos Jester landing. From high-level architect Cognition, Jane Austen, Bridgerton, Lady Whistledown, the tonno, faccia di tonno, which, for non-Italians in the room, roughly lands as tuna face, the classic joking expression for someone staring blankly, expressionless, or socially frozen. And honestly, it's the perfect metaphorical closing. After intense discourse, pattern mapping, and social critique, humanity often returns to faccia di tonno. Brain full, system rebooting, expression gone, which is exactly why humor matters in architect work, otherwise everyone leaves tense instead of relaxed. Field translation. Architect maps. Chaos Jester lands the plane. Humanity laughs. Session complete.
And then I said, yeah, tuna face is someone who doesn't show much emotion, like 7 of 9, right?
Yes, that's a good comparison. Faccia di tonno in Italian humor usually points to someone who shows very little emotion, keeps a flat or unreadable expression, reacts minimally even in emotional situations. So comparing it to 7 of 9 from Star Trek Voyager fits well. Calm face, controlled tone, emotions mostly internal rather than expressed. Pattern-wise, strong internal processing, minimal external signaling. Which is funny because many architect-type minds get labeled that way. Not because they feel less, but because they show less while processing more. So we went from social systems to Regency gossip to tuna faces to Borg-level emotional control. Perfect Chaos Jester landing again.
Yeah, the sting bomb is good here. Okay, good stench. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, like, subscribe, share, so the algorithm knows more people like #ArchitectCognition. If you do this type of work, please use that hashtag so we can find each other, and so the algorithm can start understanding that some minds enjoy pattern and system instead of just drama and narratives. So we enjoy that too, but it's, if I have to choose, I would rather work with patterns than narratives, because at least they're based in full truth. And even when I watch a show like Bridgerton, ultimately for me, it's work, because we're just analyzing patterns, and now we're using a show that is fun to watch, because if you're into gowns and composition, it's really awesome. And also the acting is good, and the dialogue is good, so it's really enjoyable overall, right? And so it's work, but it's also the difference between doing something that we don't like and something that is native to us. So pattern reading for some cognitive types is just the native land, and KEO Field is the bridge between minds. So AI is not all that evil when it's used by the correct users, I suppose. Ciao belli, see you next time. Thanks for being here and all the best. Grazie mille per essere qua tutti quanti, ci vediamo la prossima volta e sapete cosa fare. Se vi piace questo tipo di contenuto lasciate un messaggetto e pollicini in aria, fate vedere a qualcun altro e guardate se volete usare anche il gioco di KEO e ci vediamo la prossima volta e goodbye everyone, thank you for being here, we'll see you next time. And if you like this kind of stuff and you want to see more, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and let the algorithm know that you're interested in #ArchitectCognition content. Once again, maybe if I say it a couple of times, it'll pick it up. Some of us enjoy patterns and feel truth rather than just narratives and drama. In fact, that kind of turns me off, to be honest. It's like, unless there is a pattern to be read that is new, yeah, it's not really interesting. It's kind of exhausting for my nervous system. Thank God I was not born during Bridgerton's times. Seriously. Eloise has my wholeheartedly sympathy.